So today's political climate, I'm seeing a lot of people want to get worked up. And I know that they do because if you look, here, let me just tell you, here's the headlines on Fox and MSNBC. We have them on our studio monitors in case there's breaking news. Liberal media gushes over Harris ellipse final pitch. It's literally iconic. So they want to get you all worked up over it. Here's what Harris did today. MSNBC, Musk warns of temporary hardship if Trump wins. They want to get you all worked up over on that side, right? Mm-hmm. So both sides are focusing on the people they hate the most. Fox doesn't like Harris, can't stop talking about her. MSNBC doesn't like Trump, can't stop talking about him. Why is that? Because their audience responds. Their audience reacts to that. They love it. If you've been anywhere near the internet, you know how antsy people are getting right now and how everybody seems ready for a fight. They just want to feel something. And most of the time, it's easy to engage with anger. Mm-hmm. I've worked for radio stations where that's their go-to. How do we enrage our audience today? And I feel like we're entering a new world where instead of looking for agreement, we are actively seeking out people with whom we clash so that we can argue with them.
But what percentage of people do you think are the way that you describe, where they want to get angry or they have a strong opinion on something and they want to be that way about it?
So there's more stories coming up later in the show. In about, let's say 30 minutes, I've got a story about people who are willing to lie about that in order to avoid the conflict. Mm-hmm. I think probably 10% of the people out there are trying to suss out who around them are in their tribe or against them.
But it's fair to say the vast majority are not that way, where they want to be engaged, but they don't want to fight. They just want to go out and vote, or they're open to a discussion, but they're not seeking a confrontation
or accommodation.
Yeah,
one or the other. Yeah, as far as actively seeking it, I'm going to say, 90% are not actively seeking. But we all know that guy in the office, right? Or that woman at church that just wants to talk about politics all the time. Mm-hmm. And they're exhausting. I also think, though, that you've got a number of people who sort of, they hold back, and then eventually they'll say something like, I just can't stand Trump, right? They'll say that. Or, can you believe how dumb America is if they vote for Harris? Right? That's what we kind of run into. Eventually, it comes out. I don't think they're necessarily seeking it, but I think that they want to sort of feel you out a little bit and go, agree, disagree. Maybe they don't want the confrontation. They're just looking to see if there's agreement.
So I have a couple thoughts on why that 10% is the way that they are. Do you have a couple headline thoughts on why they are the way they are?
Yeah. I'm going to let you use the phrase that you came up with because I think it's brilliant. I think Joe hit on something that is so smart.
Well,
I think he accidentally did it, but I think it's incredibly intelligent.
No, you mentioned the other day confirmation bias, and then you were searching for a word for the other side, and I said kind of like a confrontation bias. So a confirmation bias is you're looking for the group that is similar to you. Mm-hmm. They're cool. They're your tribe.
Yeah. Why do I listen to this particular radio show or station? Well, they say what I think. Confirmation bias.
Can even apply to somebody listening to you or I. They can feel like, wow, they're on my team. Yeah. And we're not necessarily, but they want to find the people who agree with them. They're seeking that, and they will look for reasons to believe that you are on their team.
So explain the confrontation bias, because I love this. And I think this is, if you're a political scientist, listen up. This is something you should be on to.
Here's how I would look at what I came up with the term confrontation bias, which is the exact opposite. More of that, the 10% that we're talking about, the type that want to get angry and they're seeking a fight. Is that how you digest it as well?
It is, and I would say that they're willing to attack their own.
They want to confront you. They want to engage, and they want to tell you that you're wrong, and they are going to steadfastly stand on their ground, and they're going to get mad at you. They're going to confront you.
Where I see this happening is there's a logical fallacy called no true Scotsman. I don't know if you're familiar with this.
I've heard it, but no.
So the way that it works is the logical fallacy is something along the lines of, and I'm just giving an example here. Okay, so you walk into a bar in Scotland and you order a water, and they say no true Scotsman would order a water in a pub. You'll drink whiskey, right? And they would say no true Scotsman would ever speak with that accent. That was terrible. But the idea is that if you're a real American, then you believe in this.
Mm-hmm.
Well, actually, I am a real American, and I don't. Well, actually, I am a true Scotsman, and I would still like that pint of water, please.
Gosh,
I don't need to drink this.
How much do we see that today with America?
And what is the phrase that we hear when it comes to politics all the time? You're a rhino or a dino.
Oh, yeah.
So you've got your confrontation bias people that are looking for an argument, and they are looking. I saw this all the time, and you had John McCain in your studio all the time, right?
As did you.
And I did too when I was at the other station. And anytime I was amazing. People didn't know this at the time. I was doing 2 radio shows at that time. I was doing a show in Phoenix, and I was also doing a show in San Diego. They were both live. They were both local, and so I would have John McCain in on my radio show in Phoenix, and I would record the interview. And then I would play it back later that night for my show in San Diego. And the reaction from the audience was remarkable. In Phoenix, I'd get phone calls all the time. Why are you having that man on the show? He's the worst politician there is. I can't stand him. He's a liberal.
And
right?
I bet you got rhino all the time shoved down your throat.
The time. When I played the exact same interview back in San Diego, I got, oh my gosh, what a great interview. Oh my, how did you get John McCain? That is a great, nobody else on your station is getting, of course, I know because he was the local guy here. I was just repurposing the interview. But the reaction was completely different. What we had were a lot of people on the right that felt like John McCain wasn't a real Republican because he didn't vote the way they wanted him to vote. And so much so, that the Republican Party censured him. Now, I'm not picking on the Republican Party because the Democratic Party censured Kyrsten Sinema for not voting for the filibuster law that would have ended the filibuster in the Senate. So we've got this situation where you go, you're not a true member of our party unless you vote the way we want you to.
Yeah, I think rhino and dino fall right in line with fake news, too.
Sure.
I would ask folks, tell me what a rhino is. And I don't think they can even do it because the problem is Trump will say something one day, and then a week later, he'll say something different, and that then becomes the new standard.
You can't keep up with where the shifting goalposts, right?
Right. So, but what he said a week ago could be labeled rhino a week later.
Yeah.
Or at the time, a week would have been labeled rhino. So what is really rhino? It's whatever is not, rhino or dino is whatever is not with the candidate in power at the moment.
At the moment, right, yeah.
Thanks for watching The Chris and Joe Show. Click to see more from Chris and Joe and tap the button in the middle to subscribe to KTAR News.